In a package of bills introduced in the Michigan Senate today, lawmakers are looking to make some modifications to absentee ballots, ballot boxes, and how voters cast their ballots. Kaylee Marentet is here for you now live in our studio to explain why these changes are being proposed.
Sherry, these bills are actually tied to an investigation the Senate Oversight Committee conducted into the November election. That report hasn't been made public yet, but the chairman of the committee, Senator Ed McBroom, told me that these bills address what was found in that investigation.
I tried to divide the package up into four specifics: pre-election, election day, post-election, and voter integrity.
A 39-bill package with a goal to reform Michigan elections, starting with absentee voting. Voters would have to request an application.
Making sure that we're not sending out applications unsolicited, that we return to the process where if you want a ballot, you request it, or you're on the permanent list that receives an application.
Voters would also have to provide a form of identification with their absentee ballot. But Lansing City Clerk SWOPE says that could deter voters.
When you're talking about the absentee voters who are mailing in that ballot application, do they have a photocopier at home where they can make a copy of their ID? Are they comfortable with mailing a copy of their ID through the mail?
Drop boxes would have to close at 5 p.m. the day before the election, which Senator Ed McBroom says is to ease stress on poll workers on election day. McBroom says all the bills are intended to help ensure safe and secure elections. In 2020, Michigan had a major increase in voters, but 30% of the population still didn't cast a ballot. SWOPE says these reforms could backtrack that progress.
You're just making it hard for people to participate in our democracy, and we should be doing everything we can to encourage participation.
Just this morning, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson testified in front of the U.S. Senate Committee on Rules and Administration and addressed the high number of people that voted from home last year.
We saw in particular the amount of people who voted absentee go from 1.1 million in 2016 to 3.3 million in 2020.
These bills would also allow for 16-year-olds to pre-register to vote when they get their driver's license in hopes that it will get more young people to vote. Sherry, back to you.
Kaylee, thank you. The bill package introduced today would also increase voter ID requirements for in-person voting. So right now, if you want to vote in person but don't have identification with you, election workers will ask you to sign an affidavit saying you don't have your ID. Your vote will be counted like all others on election day. Several of the bills in the package eliminate references to this affidavit and say the voter will instead get a provisional ballot, which will not be counted unless the voter returns to the clerk's office within 6 days to show their ID.